So here we go. So we're going to talk through some of the things that we'll be doing. It's a 10-day embroidery immersion between June 11th and 22nd. We've done this. How many times have we done this, Miriam?
This will be the for five
Fifth time, I think. Yeah,
fifth
this is the
time,
fifth time we've done
but there
this in the
were
last 2 years.
two particular ones for schools and
Uh,
SDI. Mhm.
Yeah, so we did two custom tours on top of that. Actually, three custom tours in
Mhm.
addition to these as well that we've worked on together in the last
Nice.
2 years. So we've done quite a few of them by now, and we really like it, which is why we keep doing it. We really enjoy having people come join us for their time. So we already chatted with you about where you're coming from, and so we're gonna head into the next one. So have you ever been to Oaxaca before?
I've never been to Mexico except
Ah.
Tijuana, just to cross the border.
Uh-huh.
That
Well,
was
it's a
it.
very different experience then. But actually
Uh,
Mexico, each of the places has a very specific feel to it that's really different, even just another 50 miles away, and it feels like a different place. So Oaxaca is just situated about halfway down between Mexico City and Guatemala. And Oaxaca is a full state. But it's also the capital city is also called Oaxaca. And this is a picture here from looking over the hill that are one of the mountainsides. It's right next to Oaxaca. So this is a city. This is the city of Oaxaca that's down here in the photo. And then Miriam is going to talk a little bit about the background of Oaxaca and about like some of the background and cultural things that are going on. I'm going to mute for just a second because somebody just walked in the door. So.
okay.
Mhm.
Maybe my microphone is also a little bit noisy because there's so many trucks passing by the street.
That's
But I
okay.
hope it's not bothering you. So the first thing that we must say about Oaxaca is that is 16 different ethnic groups in Oaxaca. So this is one of the most diversity indigenous group in the whole country. So we still have alive all of these 16 different ethnic groups, and it depends of if you counted some or if you attend some other authors, they used to say Naipin because there's also Tzotziles and Nahuatls and the Afro-Mexican people living here too. So it's very rich in culture, and every different group has their own music, their own food, their own costume, and of course the traditional textiles alive still. So that's part of the things that we wanted to show in this trip.
Mhm.
We really wanted to show this part of the in this experience. Hi, welcome.
So we just got your microphone is on mute, and you're welcome to either leave it that way or if you want to say hi and introduce yourself very quickly, you can.
Okay, hi, I'm Pat Sturtzel. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky.
Ah, Louisville. We
So
just
I,
talked to them last week, yeah.
yeah, so I was in on that presentation last week,
Uh-huh.
and I have three sisters who we've traveled to Mexico a few times, and we're all fiber artists at different levels and different degrees. And it just sounded like it would be a really fun trip to participate. And then another friend that was also at the presentation last week, she said, well, my sister and I would really like to do this too. So it's kind of the big, there's like a
That'd be
group of
awesome.
5 or 6 of us that are interested in February.
That'd be great.
And so anyway, but I need to figure out the dates and how,
How that would go. Yeah.
yeah. And
Uh,
so anyway, so that's why I'm here. I'm not sure if I'll be able to stay on for the whole thing because I am with my family on spring break, and I caught the email and I thought, well, I'd get on for a little bit at least.
That sounds great. So we're talking through. We have one going this June, June 11th to the 22nd. And so but the schedule when if we repeat this again in February, it'll be pretty much the same. Sometimes we adjust a little bit for different reasons, but many of the things, the elements will be really similar. So Miriam was just giving a background about Oaxaca in general and the different cultural groups that are there. That they a lot of places still speak Zapotec or the other indigenous languages. There's 16 of them in Oaxaca, and they still like speak those at home on a
Their
daily
own
basis. And
language,
you'll
yeah.
hear it. What's that?
Yeah, the 16 different groups that still living in the territory of Oaxaca, uh, most of them still keep their language and the native language, their traditional food, the music, and of course the textile tradition too. So that's the part of most important part that we wanted to show to the people who attend the trip.
Sounds exciting.
It's pretty great. Yeah. So
So
Miriam, you want to
Elizabeth, you're
continue?
looking at June?
Yeah, this is about the June trip,
Yeah.
but this particular one called Impressions, this is the 5th time that we've been doing it. And so it's a good trip. And so we do other trips too, but this
Yeah.
one has been coming out and people have a really good time as part of it. Many of them are still in touch with the group like 2 years.
yeah, actually
They're
we are
chatting
building
today.
we are
2 years.
building a
Right.
very nice community
Yeah.
because all of the attendants still keep in touch and ask questions about embroidery or whatever it's emerged. And it's good to say hello to all of them once in a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah.
So what happens if you don't get enough people for June?
Well, we're hoping to get enough people. We would probably make it go even if we had as many as 4. I think we've got 2 for sure already signed up, and we haven't ever yet had to cancel a trip because we didn't have enough people. So if we have, I think we would do it with 4. 6 would be a good number, and 10 is great. 10's a good number, but 10's like our limit. We don't like to go any higher than that. So, but we're pretty committed to finding a way to make it go. Yes. So
Yeah, it never happens. So, and
yeah.
every time they came, it's a great group. An awesome mix of people. Everybody is enjoying and everybody is get build very nice links between each other. It's
Yeah.
a community actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
then
that's part of
everybody
Oaxaca
knows
is.
everybody else that went to the same places. And then some people went on this one and then they went on another one, which is Woven Lives. Or there's going to be another one to Chiapas, and we're going to have a second level embroidery. And then people are starting to overlap, and then they all know the same people. So
Oh,
it's
that's
actually
so
really,
nice. Yeah.
it's super interesting. And I've had a lot of people from Madison come down with different like custom groups come down too.
Wow.
And then they all come back to Madison, and they know the people that knew them, who know the people that were interns with me for years ago, and everybody knows Miriam and doing Allie. And anyway, it's pretty cool. It's turning
Part of
into a
Oaxaca
nice.
actually.
What's
Yeah.
that? It's very
It's part of
Oaxaca.
Oaxaca. Yeah, we used to say that Oaxaca it's a big small town because you can find each other running, walking in the streets, and it's kind of a magical thing here in Oaxaca that you can cross with very interesting people here. So that's part of the
Yeah.
magical part of this trip because Oaxaca is like this, you can see in this imagine it's a city, but it still has the sense of community, which is kind of not easy to find in other places because even if Oaxaca is a colonial city, we still have indigenous roots here and it's very deep into the daily life here. So that's part of the things that make this magical things happen all the days.
And I think some of it's the geography too. It's like the city in the middle of all these towns, all these small villages that are spread out in the mountains. So they can't get together with each other in other places, but it becomes like a hub for people for exchange of ideas and goods and arts and things like that because everybody's coming from their different regions and then they come down to the center. So it kind of works that's extending that too. People are coming from all over the world now and then kind of running into people from all over in different places. It's a really interesting place of like,
exactly. I think that's another that's really true. That's another main thing that we must say about Oaxaca. Oaxaca, the state of Oaxaca have a lot of communities in several and in 8 different regions, which regions have their own climate and their own weather, and it's because there's so many mountains in the state. We have deserts, we have jungle, forest, coast. So all of this richness make also the people behaviors and costumes make very rich too. So there's a lot of layers also. History has this presentation says, because there's a indigenous root, there's also the Spanish root, and also the Afro-Mexican root. So there's a mix of all of these different cultures and backgrounds that makes Oaxaca so rich nowadays. And that's part of the things that we like to show you in this trip.
And it's also super contemporary. It's not like kind of frozen in its past glory days. It's kind of in the middle of a renaissance at the moment of like mixing all these different things together, and then people are figuring out lots of Instagram, and both for talking about their own things and what they're doing and the pride they have in making their own work, but then also in being able to see things from all over, and just like in a conversation with people all over the world. The food is like it's being listed now as one of the top cuisines in the world, that people come from all over here just to eat, and we really like that too. And most things are super fresh. There's a lot of fusion, but there's also a lot of traditional foods, both mixed from Spanish and indigenous, and some that are just pretty much similar to way indigenous people ate beef long before the Spanish got here. So, in this particular town, there's like 2,500 years of history of people, the same people sort of living in this space. So there's a lot of history. So we're going to talk a little, so that's a little bit about the background, and I'll kind of go through a little quickly about the trip, but I think that the things that we're talking about now, that's actually a lot of the trip is about, that we're focused on textiles, and we use the textiles as a way sort of start talking about other things, and also the making becomes a way to make connections with people. And I think that when you sit down and make stuff together, you learn about things and you connect with things a little bit different than if you're just going in and watching a demo and going someplace else. You're busy being physically interactive, I think adds to that connection both to each other and to the culture. So we really focus on like immersion and inspiration through the culture. I have to move my little thing here. Immersion and inspiration in the culture, and hands-on as like a meaningful way to make connections. You can see in this, I love this picture because this is an artist who came from India who doesn't speak any English or Spanish, but he speaks Gujarati, and the woman who's teaching him how to use the spinning wheel, she speaks Zapotec and Spanish. Neither one have no common language, but it's very, very clear in the image that there's a connection and that they're communicating. And that's one of the things like it never ceases to fascinate me to see that happening between people. So that's one of the things that we just love in doing these things. And the sharing is really in both directions. We try really hard to have conversations. We invite many of the artisans to come to the kind of farewell party at the end. That is like, this is a connection between people that got to know each other. And we try, we're often in their homes. And if sometimes we have things that we share with them that we're doing too as well. There is interest in what we're doing as we are in them. So we like that. And also taking time to relax and reflect. Part of why I left the US to live in Mexico is the just sort of endless going, and never time to relax and reflect. And I think Oaxaca as a whole and our trip emphasizes even more is just taking time to slow down and relax. Embroidery makes you do that. You don't have much choice but to take time to relax and reflect. And the conversations that happen when you sit and embroider also can be very interesting and powerful and personal, because it's sort of happening while your hands are working. So it's that engaging the hands at the same time while you're learning about other things. So just to kind of quickly go through the actual itinerary, the first night we have a kickoff night where we all have, this is actually not, it's on the 8th, and the tour officially starts on the 9th in the morning. But we have a kickoff meal where we get to know each other, and this is a beautiful view from downtown historic Oaxaca. And the first day we leave very, very early in the morning, and we head up to the mountains, up to San Pedro Cojones, where they do silk cultivation. They have this beautiful new space up there, but they start with silkworm. Oh, that's my dog. He comes along sometimes. They start with the silkworm eggs, like little bitty huevecillos, they're called, and they cultivate them into worms and then cocoons. And then they spin the silk, and then they weave the silk, and then they dye the silk with natural dyes. So, like the whole process. And they also have to grow the trees to feed the worms. So it's like as made from scratch as anything you could ever imagine, you know? So while we're there, we do a natural dye workshop on the silk, and we use indigo and pericon, which is a little flower, and palo de Brasil, which makes a great red, and also cochineal, which makes a really fabulous red too. And we learn about dyeing on silks. And the next day we go up into the mountains we spend the night up in a cabin near there, and we do a day of stitching, of sort of being inspired by the landscape and kind of intuitive stitching and mark making, and learn how to sort of play with marks. And we're not focusing on specific technique as much as how you can take very, very simple marks and make, be able to play and have sort of your own kind of personality come back just out of it, which is some simple marks. So these are some of the pieces that we've done. We kind of sit here out in the mountains and stitch, and it's a really beautiful and very nice day. And then on the way back, the next day we head back to Oaxaca, and on the way we stop and visit a women's weaving cooperative in Teotitlan, where they're really well known for their wool carpets. And what's that, Miriam? No. Anyway, so they're very well known for their tapestry weaving. The whole town is, and we're going to speak with this really wonderful women's cooperative that it's traditionally in this town is traditionally men's work, and a number of women got together and started a cooperative so that they could kind of have independent lives. So it's a really great group of people to talk to. Plus, the work is really beautiful as well. And Miriam, why don't you do the next couple embroidery ones?
Yeah, and also we had the chance to have some instructors from different uh, village from here from Oaxaca. Uh, the first one will be with Virginia and Esteban, which are from San Bartolome Yautla. This is the traditional work they do. And their town is very far away from the city. So actually they have a chance to come to the city, and Carolyn opened her space and receive us, and they show us how to make these beautiful pieces. So that's our day 4. This is the traditional shapes they do, the explanation, and we will learn all about the traditional and how they get permission also to get these classes in here. That's for day. Can you show us the next one? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry.
The day 5, it's about the collaborations that we are doing, mainly Carolyn and I, but we also talk about the collaboration in general, because here in Oaxaca, this new contemporary environmental, the collaboration work is very in fashion nowadays. But actually, we are talking about the real collaboration more than the commission things that we used to work with artisans. We are talking more about the real collaboration between the ideas and also the work. And we will show you some of the pieces that we are working through these years together. So it's an interesting day too. The next day,
that's within that same day. Like in the morning, we'll talk about our joint work, and then the afternoon is kind of a free day for you to
we call
continue.
it a studio day, and it's the space that we have to relax and put our hands on, because actually 10 days is not too much time to make embroidery. Sometimes it feels very short, but embroidery is like that. It's a slow process. So we are not pushing the group or ourselves to finish a piece. It's more about to learn the technique and enjoy the time here. So we're discovering through this experience that we had before that people really enjoy to spend time in teaching together, which is also an interactive activity. And it's also this part of the trip that we propose, that interaction is the hard part, the heart of the trip. So it's the most important, one of the most important things.
Mhm.
So it's the studio day. And the day 6, we will have the chance to go to my village. This is my family, and this is the traditional embroidery that I have been doing for my whole life, and my whole family is related to this activity. So we will be here, and we have the destilado workshop, which is one of the 4 techniques that we do here in my town. And this is one of the examples that we do, and that's my hands motor drawing. That's not part of the destilado technique, but you can have also the chance to see how is the process to wield all of the blouses and dresses and the garments in general that we doing here in my village.
So this is Miriam here in the black, and that's her mother and 2 of her aunts that are there. So it's the whole family is in on it, which is great. So, and there's one over here on the left is the destilado, which means unthreading. So you unthread the fabric first, and then you go back and wrap things. It's also sometimes called faggoting, or in
Okay.
Norway, they call it hardanger. So it's a similar technique. You'll see it sometimes in Spain as well, but it's a really cool
Yeah.
technique that you don't see around as much.
Yeah,
So.
it's very spread around the world. In Spain, it calls manicas, and also in Paraguay, I discovered they call it aopoi. It's basically the same basis to make it, but the motifs are different. So it's very interesting to know how different cultures all around the world, we still are connected, no matter if we don't have touch with each other. So it's very interesting.
Yeah. So on day
And for
7, we
today,
spend a day in Oaxaca and go around and visit the textile museum and a couple of art centers and cultural centers. And as we mentioned earlier, the arts in Oaxaca, there's a lot of traditional arts, but it's not it. There's also a lot of contemporary arts, and there's a lot of contemporary art that's sort of rooted in the traditional that they do in a way that I think is really extraordinary, that I don't run across very many other places seeing it quite that way, where the traditional is very, very strong, but this very strong streak of how is that then interpreted in a contemporary setting. So the Textile Museum and the Museum of the Cultural Center of San Pablo are both really excellent, both in terms of the architecture and the types of shows that they have of combining both the traditional and the contemporary.
So what were they doing down there in the corner?
This one, backstrap weaving. So that's backstrap weaving. So it's on a narrow backstrap loom, so the warp is not super wide. They're probably making belts or something. This is a workshop at the textile
I see. Okay.
museum. Yeah, that's the type of thing that they'll do there. So the textile museum is great because they're really great at showing exhibitions, and then also teaching people how to actually make the things. Sometimes they have contemporary teachers, people from outside. I've taught classes there, and then sometimes they have people from the villages that teach there, and so there's traditional artisans teaching, and students might be traditional artisans, or they might be contemporary, they might be from outside, and it's very cool. Everybody's all mixed up, who's teaching and who's taking classes. So it's really a cool place. They have a lot going on there. And San Paulo, which I don't have any pictures of, are also similar in that they have many, many activities going on to really get people engaged in the making. And so we'll also go around town and look at different types of embroidery that you'll see around town. The 3 over here on the right, that's Miriam up there too.
Yeah,
That was in Santa Fe. Anyway, there's different types of embroidery, some machine embroidery, hand embroidery, and people doing like the 3 on the right-hand side are all very traditional, and the one on the left is another a young artist named Petra who's you can see some of the designs that are coming from here, but she's interpreting them onto like really contemporary artists. So that's something I find super fascinating in Oaxaca, is that mix of the two. And then, and Miriam, you want to talk about this one again?
Yeah, for the day 8, we also have some textile artists invited. This is come from the Sierra Norte. They are Ali and Conchis. They are sisters, and they will teach us this type of embroidery called puntada mágica, or magical stitching. It's a combination of geometrical figures. It's beautiful. So they are doing this for a while, and they will show us how to make this type of stitchings. They also will prepare us a delicious lunch.
Yeah. They have a trout farm, and so they often
Oh,
bring
no.
down the food for that too. So they live about this is about 2 hours away, something like that.
Yeah, a little bit
Mountain.
more depends of the
Hmm.
road. It's up in the mountains, not very far from the city actually, but it's a very beautiful place and very different than the city. So we will learn about their
Hmm.
traditions.
And in this technique too, is one where there's a lot of play, like and depending on, like, if somebody's got a lot of experience, they can do something much more complicated, and if somebody hasn't done much before, they can go with something a little bit easier. So we've had everything from people who are exhibiting textile artists for many years that have exhibited all over the place, and people who had never stitched before, and in the same group, and both people found things both to challenge them and also but that they could do, and it actually wound up being really great group dynamics between that, because there were good conversations that happened because of that. So, and then day 9, this is our last kind of studio-ish day. Is in the morning we'll have a hike up to well, not really a hike. We'll have a tour up to Montalban. We take a bus up the hill, and then most of this is walkable. Some of these you can go up, but it's up to people if some people don't want to walk up. But we have a really great guide who talks a lot about the connection between the art and the culture and the physical space and kind of the magical that place that this was, and how they used even the landscape architecture, like where trees were and things like that, to sort of create this kind of magical space that was the main cultural, the city of that, where it's now Oaxaca. It's a Zapotec archaeological site. They started building it, I think, in around 500 BC, and it was active for over 1,000 years, and it was a major um, cultural area and site, and the whole valley is influenced by what happened at this site. It's a beautiful place, and our guide is just fascinating. I can go listen to her 20 times a year and I'm good. She's a great storyteller. And then later that afternoon will be open studio day, where you can either go back to the house and work, or you can, so this is the studio in my home, and people can stay and work here, or they can go back home, go back. The housing is around the corner from here, so it's just about a 4-minute walk, and you can go back and forth between the two anytime you want. And then the very last day, we exchange all the work. You can see up on the wall here, we put everything that everybody's done over the week, we put up, and kind of have a little show and tell, where we're all looking at what we did, and other people you're looking at what we did with each other. But we also, that's actually Miriam's mom there. And we also invite the artists. Not everybody can make it, but some can each time, and to see what kinds of things that we were doing in the other projects, because it's usually pretty different than what they do. And the reaction is always really wonderful when any of them come. And we also do a project called the Galagetza project, where we exchange a piece and work on it. But we don't want to tell you too much, because we kind of like to have a little bit of a surprise on that. But it becomes both something to work on, but we are also talking a lot about the concept of Galagetza, of giving and receiving, that is very much part of the life in many of the villages here in Oaxaca. And so this project is a little bit of a way of like feeling, what does that feel like? We really like it. We we take part in it every time ourselves too, as well as leading people through it. And then we have a big party at the end. This is a big group with all of our guests that came. And there's my dog again, who shows up from time to time in the workshops and pictures. And we have a dinner with invited guests, and kind of all celebrate. So all of this is all the same night. These things here, and this one here, that's all kind of the last night, is a big celebration before everybody goes back. And that's very Oaxacan too, is you got to have you got to have a party, you have to have food, you have to have music, and what else? And lots of laughter, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's exchange actually, the exchange
Mhm.
between the attending participants and other instructor, and we also has guides, and it's a very beautiful way to say goodbye or see you soon, hopefully,
Yeah.
because it's a very nice, intense 10 days. So we create
Mhm.
links between each other, and it's really nice to meet these beautiful people every time.
Yeah. And so just to go over where we're staying, the first night people fly in on their own and you stay at a hotel where you want to. The first morning we come by and pick everybody up. So like I shouldn't say the first night, the night we have a welcome dinner the night before the tour starts. So that night before the tour starts, you stay elsewhere. But then in the morning, we pick you up and we drive up to the mountains. We go up to the Silk Village, and then we spend 2 nights here in these cabins. And we have home cooked meals there because there's no restaurants in that town, but the food's all very fresh. They grow their own food and their own wheat, and they bake their own bread, all in the town. And so we spend 2 nights there, and then we head down to Oaxaca. And then in Oaxaca, we have a place called the Sunshine House that's just right around the corner. You can almost see my house. Well, it's over here, but to the right, or to the left. But we have the whole house that's just our group that's there. And I think there's 4 bedrooms, and 2 have 2 double beds, and 2 single, and 2 have just one bed in there. But there's a big area in the kitchen. There's a group space. People can sit around and talk. You can see these are 2 different group spaces here and here. Plus there's a patio up on the roof with a hammock, and it's a very lovely place to hang out. And it's just around the corner from my house, which is where not all the studios are, but most of the studios are. The workshops, other than the one at Miriam's house, everything else is just around the corner, so you can walk back and forth very easily, which is pretty nice. And then this is the group studio space. This is my home, and it's set up. I have a studio space upstairs, and then the downstairs is set up. We get lunch catered in for the days when we're working in the studio, and then there's multiple places to sort of spread out and learn either in groups or to sit stitching. And people tend to like to stitch. They're often the workshops are done at 2 or 3, and everybody's still sitting around, at 5 o'clock because they don't want to get up, and because they just want to stay there because it's a very pleasant place to sit. So that's it. And then costs. Oops, this is for February. It should say for June. So a single occupancy is 3,200. The double occupancy is 2,800. And if you are in Oaxaca and you have your own lodging, or it's 2,200 for that. And that includes breakfast every morning for those of you that we're providing the hotel, because we do kind of an in-house. We make sure there's yogurt and bread and fruit and things and some eggs, and you cook up your own lunch because you have a kitchen or breakfast. You have a kitchen there. There's lunch every day is included because we're always together at lunchtime. There's 6 evenings when we have dinners together. It's all the transportation to and from the villages. It's all the workshop fees, any materials that we need for the workshops, and it also includes the accommodations. So it's pretty much everything but airfare and some meals. Sometimes people in the evenings on the dinners that are not covered, people are just tired and they don't even want to go anywhere. They just go home and go to sleep or have another scrambled egg too.
Oh,
But anyway, but that's it. And then do you all have any questions for us?